Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with how to get out of Babylon. So I started off with that last video with this up there, and I'll adjust the thumbnails to be more apropos because I covered a few different topics. And this is kind of a seriously road trip decompression. I mean, like I said, I should not be doing this. I should be sleeping, but such is life. Hey, on the product thing, and I want to do some health things too. Don't do this again. I got to get a drink, so I'm going to advertise and now a word from our sponsor. Seriously. I mean, and this guy, Nathan, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be alive. There were literally a handful, about 5 people that I can name and will always remember, who were responsible for me not kicking the bucket. Literally kept me alive with food, shelter, the wherewithal to just, stay alive. And Nathan was definitely one of them. The one time, this is rare, when you start having suicidal thoughts, there's something seriously wrong. You need to go, take a retreat or something and make an adjustment. I used to do janitorial work for a lot of years, and I was out at night always by myself. Work at night by myself, never see anybody later in the day. Never have any contact with anybody except, minimal contact with family, kids and wife at home. And I started having on a regular basis, like suicidal thoughts. And I was like, and so I consciously made the decision, I gotta do something different. So I backed out of that. I was doing janitorial work and carpet cleaning. I'd gotten into carpet cleaning. And so I started doing more carpet cleaning, daytime work, and kind of specialized in that and cut back on the janitorial accounts. And also started doing freight handling, working on docks, loading and unloading trucks. So, which is another thing we're going to go into, is I want to give pointers on loading and unloading. So, how to make the move. So, anyway, Nathan really was a blessing. Repose. This is a blueberry flavored. I'm sure they do it in strawberry, raspberry, whatever. You can do it. I'm sure in flavor, but it is a vinegar, honey, and blueberry juice. So, phenomenal stuff. So my next question is, what is it like fermented? Because that's basically vinegar is apple cider vinegar. It's a fermented, thing. And that's one of the things this guy was doing apple cider, and he's like, man, we don't want to do it to it what they do in the stores commercially. And so they prayed and asked Father for wisdom, and the word was just let it ferment. Don't add anything to it. And they did, and that's what that's based with. Very healthy. So this is my kombucha, and over says I just did another. This is really cool. I did a gallon jar and I set it in the window, the sun, and so I sun tea. So the whole time I was gone for 2 days, that was in the sun. So it's going to be sun brewed kombucha, and this is just what I had to take out of the jar as leftover, and then I mixed in the blueberry, stuff. So what I'm going to do is put some of that in my next batch, or maybe I'll just go ahead and add some. Yeah, I might as well. It's just starting to brew right now. It'll be a week before it's done. So that's like a weakened version because I poured the tea in and then I didn't have enough to get all the tea in, so I ladled some out and filled a quart jar. I had a full quart in there, so it should come out pretty fast because it had, before I diluted it, it was at least a full quart. Usually you leave 1 cup of the old tincture or whatever you want to call it in there. So, health. Speak things into existence. I don't know if you can tell, but that is one nice jar. Well, oddly enough, John, there's this super heavy jar. It's just about this heavy. I mean, and maybe a little bit bigger. But I mean, it was like monster. And I was hoping he'd say, yeah, it's just a junk jar, you can have it. Well, I wanted it with the lid, but you could do plastic on the lid. It was for squeezing oranges, and Haley, his daughter, likes squeezed oranges. So cool orange juice thing. So then at Shirley's, I said, hey, if you get a jar that's short and squat, use it for Soleil, or if you have an extra, I'd like one. Boom, I found this in the trailer. So Soleil is you put about a half inch of sea salt in there, shake it up, stir it up really good, let it sit overnight, and if all the salt is into solution, then put more salt in, to where you have standing in the bottom, salt. Half an inch or so of rock salt, like pink Himalayan is really good. And then that is called Soleil, S-O-L-E. You open it up, you take 1 teaspoon out, put it in a cup of water, and drink it every day. Mystical, miraculous, magical, however you want to phrase it. It's awesome stuff. A friend's son, where did I get this from? I don't know. A friend's son drilled a few holes in the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket, put in grain, poured Soleil in it, of like a tablespoon or whatever of Soleil in a 5-gallon bucket, mixed it up. Then there was a Soleil enhanced water. Probably I would let that sit overnight. Poured it over it, or maybe in a gallon. I don't remember. And never did get all the exact details. But point being is, that was what he used to water the seed with. And what he's making was fodder, sprouted feed. So instead of having this much grain in the bottom of the 5-gallon bucket, the bucket filled up with grain. So it was like 5 times, I think it was like let's say a third of the bucket or whatever, but it worked out to where he was producing 5 times, 6 times more feed, massively enhanced feed, nutritionally, and it grew so fast compared to normal that usually if you do that, you're going to deal with mold. And a friend of ours was making fodder for his cattle. He built the whole system. I mean, fabulous. His problem was mold, and I kept telling him, well, put salt in it, put salt in it, put salt in it. Salt will kill things, From the same guy that said, one time I spilled a whole 5 gallons of diesel, or maybe 200 gallons of diesel fuel, and he said this in corroborating of my, my statement, but he said it killed the grass. It was overkill. But he said when it came back, he said that it's everywhere else the grass is this deep, and there it's like 3 feet tall and thick and huge and big and stuff. So, it didn't kill the soil. It did not sterilize the soil. It actually fed the microbes in the soil. They ate it up like candy. So, all right. I'm not going to do this again. So, you're in luck. Urine therapy. All right. So, this device is designed, and I put in a make offer for 10 of them. I found a company that was $2.72 a piece, and I put in an offer for 10 of them for $2. Hey, we're gonna do evaluation, and I do. I'd like to see a lot of people buy these for the reason I'm about to tell you, which I think you've already figured out, since you are getting somewhat familiar with my twisted thinking, my outside the box thinking. In this case, in order to think outside the box, you have to think inside the bottle. Haha. Let's see. TOTB, think outside the box, think outside the bottle. And then TITB, think inside the box, think inside the bottle. Sometimes in order to think outside the box, you have to think inside the box, So, traveling, screw onto a pop bottle, instant storage, especially a good pop bottle, like a 2-liter pop bottle. Like I said, some of those will pressure up to 150 pounds before exploding. People have ganged like 6 of them together and made it basically an air bubble out of them, and a really light air bubble at that, not steel, knowing you can pump it up to 100 pounds, fill a tire up and whatnot. Use it for weaponry, blowguns, multiple things. Ball bearings, whatever you want to fire with them. Potatoes, rockets, darts. So, anyway, that was point. Now, one company, and the thing that was interesting, like I said, open up everything. Don't leave any stone unturned when you're doing something. So this morning, I went to looking at it and looked at my make offer thing, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking. And this company that I had made the offer to ain't even listed. I couldn't find it. Like, I really tried. Could not find a listing for it at all. So I'm like, okay, I mean, $3 is, I think, very adequate for that. And did this the other day, 42 inches. Oh, and they'll bend. You could put 1 point blah blah pounds and they'll bend, but they'll spring back to, I wouldn't do it. Like they showed a corn cob or something, a pretty hefty thing. But your fire cooker and your fire thingy. So, but 10 of those for less than $20, or right at $20. And the little tubey things that I showed you, the little fire blowers. In case somebody hasn't seen that video, you can go back and find it, but I'll just show it real quick here. Dropping batteries, not doing that. Bam, 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 bam. I found these, and I got 6 of these for about $20. And that's a little presentation case. And then they also come with a little carrier. And this is very small. Now that is very, very light compared to this, which like I said, I would, well, if you're going to use this as I'm saying, a blower, a forge, I would, pull this last one out, cut it off about there with a tubing cutter, so it's, swaged a little bit in, so you can take it out and stick it back in, take it out to cook with. Actually, and then what you do is just put enough of it in that it's real stable, So you're going to lose about 4 inches, let's say. There's 8 inches there. I'd cut it, down here, so when you put it in, boom, boom, you're not losing a whole lot. Keep it stable. So, that's going to be cut off, so it's going to be basically that long when that's down here. So, blah blah. Think outside the box. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You got a forge, a bellows, and a cooking device for your tree rats. We hate tree rats. We hate tree rats. What are tree rats? Squirrels. It's the only thing people are going to be able to eat. Rabbits. Boom, 22. A Ruger 1022. I would. That's basically the gun you want to get. You can learn to shoot very accurately with it. You can qualify AQT, Army Qualification Training, with a Ruger 1022. That's what Appleseed Project's about. The shirt that I wear a lot. Project Appleseed. Learn how to shoot like a vet. Learn how to shoot like a military vet, sniper. With the Ruger 1022. You learn with the Ruger 1022, and you can then fire that course with a Garand or a whatever. It was designed to fire, Garand, 8 rounds, drop the mag, put in another one. Well, you put 8 rounds in your Ruger, 2 rounds in another mag, fire 8 rounds, drop it, fire 2 rounds. That's part of the course. You got to be able to change mags in a certain amount of time and be accurate. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Great gun, especially for a shit hits a fan situation. Quiet. You can quiet it down even more. A lot of modifications you can put on it. Triggers, everything. It's all there. That's a premier sniper weapon. You put a 22 bullet right here or here. Don't have to make a lot of noise. Watch the shooter, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Pork is about to be killed by the CIA, and boom, suddenly these guys fall down. He's standing on a boat outside, standing up, firing offhand with a pop bottle over the gun, and kills 2 or 3 guys with it. Popped in the head. 22 will do it if you know what you're doing. So, tree rats, squirrels, snakes, predators of any kind, 2-legged or 4-legged. You can deal with problems. Have a weapon. So, yeah. Have a decent knife. I just picked this up this week, but it looked like a pretty good one. It's got a rolling, it locks open and locks closed, which is a good safety feature. So, I know two people. My brother-in-law gutted and skinned an elk with a Swiss Army knife, and Bill gutted and skinned a deer with a Leatherman. So, get one. So you look at this. Let me show you this. This is kind of cute. Oh, I think it's kind of cute. You may not. I don't care. Big deal. So what? So young kid one time, he was he had a big, hafting looking knife there. And I said, whose knife do you think is bigger? And he goes, oh, mine is. And he pulls it out. And, this is a two-handed deal. You cannot open that one-handed. That's not too cool. That's like retarded then. But anyway, lanyard thing. So, he pulled his knife out. It's like this big, So I went, there's not a knife, mate. This is a knife. Cold steel Vaquero Grande. It's actually made so I can get both hands on that completely. Well, there's a little bit of my other hand. And then the blade is designed to, once you go into a cut, it's going to finish it for you. So, anyway, have weapons. Have weapons. So, this is interesting too. I was telling you, speak things into existence, right? Well, I'm at Bill's, and I mentioned female urinary devices. And he's going to be like, oh, Shirley, go get that magazine. And he goes through it real quick. He knows right where it is, because he knows, he had seen it in there anyway, and he knows I've mentioned it before. And I told you want to have a business, buy 10,000 of them suckers. There you go. That is the cheap Chinese one that I paid less than $1 a piece for. And you see the price there, right there. I don't know if you can see that. I can't read it in the screen, but maybe you can read it, and I can make that bigger. Boo. Boo. That's as big as it gets, folks. There you go. Anyway. So he he said, you done with this? Anything you need in here? No. They get it every month. Get another one. Probably have 5 of them laying around. So, no ladies' room in sight or conditions less than sanitary. This handy travel urinal will come to your rescue. Flexible medical-grade silicone funnel enables them to go anywhere. Ideal for travel, camping, long car rides, emergencies, shit hits the fan, end of the world scenario, the balloon goes up, whatever, last days. Compact, discreet, and easy to use, rinses clean, reusable. $8.98, $9. Buy it for $1, sell it for $10. Now the Go Girl is $10, so I would not feel, right selling that for $10 because, for $10 you can buy a lot nicer one with a little carrying tube, pink or camo, your choice, in different colors, pink or Desert Storm tan, whatever. And then a little drawstring bag, whereas this one comes with a little plastic, Ziploc baggie. And the Go Girl also, what is really cool is it has a military rig attachment. I mean, women use them, soldiers. Well, that's what is Jennifer Lawrence. I read you that article the other day in one of the other videos. Yeah, Go Girl. She uses Go Girl. So on set and had that goofy X-Men costume, whatever her name was. So anyway, all right. Something else I was going to say. All right, so to the jar, right? I see John's, ask him, ask Shirley. Boom, I find that one. Perfect. It's perfect for it. Short, squat salsa jars are nice, but you would just want one where you can dip into it. Now, you could get a ladle, with anything, but, that is a nice jar, easily used with a teaspoon or anything that's at hand. So, Bill sends me home with this. I pull up to the place, and before I go in, I check the mail. Guess what's in the mail? This is not the one Bill gave me. sent home with me. This is the one that came to the house here. And it is to blah, 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 or current resident, you know. So, it's mine. $9, $10. I'd sell them for $5 easily, you know. Basically, the rule of thumb is touchstone, buy it, double your money, sell it, you know. And you got to. If you're going to do sales, you're going to make a living, you know. One of the quickest ways to go out of business is to not do that. You know, you're not going to stay in business. There's expenses to everything, and then people get, you know, they rag on YouTubers for making money. Well, what do you do for a living? You know, do you exist at the grace and the mercy of you do? Okay, of society? You're on, you know, welfare? You're a just totally worthless, non-productive scum that's just sucking off the dregs, the dregs of humanity sucking off of the rest of society? Oh, okay, I understand. You know, you do something. You know, most people do something to be productive for work, for income, you know, and sales is one. So, just the way it is. Now, some things are overpriced. Yeah, one guy just wrote in and about the darts, you know. He says, how about doing a tutorial on making your own? And, you know, they're $3 a piece for those. Well, $3 a piece ain't bad when you can get a fish multiple times. They're reusable, number one, you know, and they're, you know, you want to change that or lose it or do whatever, you know, get it out of the fish, you know, so you don't have to fight that pulling it through, or change your tip or whatever, you know, this comes off too. Put more barbs on it, change the barbs, take the barbs off, you know, for target practice, whatever. So, yeah, if you were to pay $3 for that, I wouldn't think anything of that. I think that's a pretty good deal. However, do your own research, leave no stone unturned. Why in the world would you pay $3 for it when you can get it for less than $1? You know, can you make that for $1? Stainless steel, threads, barbs, line, you know? No way. I wouldn't even think about it. Now, I would like, you know, yeah, I'm going to do, because I always hack things. My theory is, if I see a new invention that's just awesome, I have no problem with buying it. But if I can see right off the bat that it can be hacked or built, you know, I'll do it. I don't think anything of duplicating it, because, you know, it's like, who invented hydrogen generators? Who invented whatever? You know, it's like the technology's there. A lot of brilliant ideas out there. The fabric thing, the tire thing, AutoSock. They'll be coming here probably this week. Who invented that? Well, okay, so it was somebody up in Norway. Now, either they pulled their effort at marketing completely off. Well, they're off of eBay. There's one single unit available on eBay. So either they took a big hit, they overinvested, they got too pricey, they overpaid, whatever, I don't know. But they should have, you know, you plan things, you're going to get hacked. Patenting doesn't exist anymore, patent protection, you know. Guy had the patent on Velcro for 17 years, held that patent and did nothing with it, basically. Nothing. And then when he lost the patent, I mean, everybody was like, oh, you dumbass, you know, I've been waiting for you to, you know, get rid of that so we can duplicate that for 17 years now. It's our turn, you know, to do something with it. So, and it was brilliant, you know. And what it was, you know, a guy walked out and got stickers on his clothes. And he was like, doggone it, stickers. And he looked at them under the microphone, yeah. He looked at them under the magnifying glass microscope, and he's like, wow, cool. What is Velcro? Velour, French words. Velour crochet. Just like that, you know. Crochet, a hook. Crochet hook, velour loop. Sticky. One of the most phenomenal things in the history of mankind. You know, brilliant invention. So, and who invented it? God, you know. Imitate nature, observe nature, imitate nature. Pretty simple. Filtering water. So, anyway. En route here, you may need to drink water. And Do your own research, but urine it's completely sterile, 100% sterile. When we did Shackley many years ago, people say, "Oh, you take vitamins, all you're doing is you're making expensive yellow urine, expensive bright yellow urine." So the reply to that was, well, if we have bright, expensive yellow urine, how expensive is your urine? And it's not bright and yellow and expensive because you take vitamins, because you don't take vitamins, What is the price of clear urine? The price is dying a lot sooner. That's what the price is. No minerals, no vitamins in your urine. Eat white bread. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. J. Vernon McGee? No. On the tip of my tongue. Guy in Nebraska. Lester Roloff. Yeah. Hated. He was very health conscious. Very hassled by the state. Very, very godly man. Tried to take care of little kids. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. That's a fact. That's fact, Jack. Listen to the tape. Former veterinarian Joel Wallach, Dr. Joel Wallach. Dead doctors don't lie. Once a doctor dies, he stopped lying. And then he later did another one. Live doctors do lie. Kind of the corollary of the thing. So, I don't know why I brought that. My keyboard. That's irritating. So what is the price of expensive yellow urine? Well, now, so the urine is bright yellow and expensive. Drink it, moron. Reuse it. It's reusable. So, and I'm just going to say here, you can do your own research and you can educate yourself, and or you can, like I said, there's ignorant and there's stupid. Ignorance is being ignorant of a topic, but once you're aware of it, and I was, I've heard about urine therapy for decades, and kind of, tried it out a little here and there, shower, whatever, but salty. Now, if it doesn't taste good, then that's because your body's not in good shape, If you have that really super, super strong taste of ammonia, you've been eating too much steak. Lay off the meat. So, anyway. Remember, 200 or 300 drugs, 500 drugs, 1,000 drugs made out of urea. Urea. And urea. You're in luck. You got it right in front of you. So, bottle. Point is, I think you're seeing it, that device there. Put a bottle on it. Perfect storage. Of course, you pee it out. You can probably drink whatever you can, pee out pretty quick. But, look into it. I had the first video on that playlist is a dude cures himself from chemotherapy. Yeah, from chemotherapy. Chemotherapy will kill you, babe. Benzides. I heard Dr. Gary Collins. I was listening to a CD on benzymes. It's a Wolf and blah blah blah, whatever. Two guys, Woe and Ben. Mercedes-Benz and Wolf. I don't know. Anyway, good enzymes, and the guy makes a statement like he goes, "These enzymes actually make chemotherapy work." Whoa, you're kidding. So it's like a medical doctors, military guys saying that colloidal silver makes their drugs 10,000 times more effective. No, it doesn't. It's 10,000 times more effective than your worthless fracking drugs. Don't take drugs. And on the subject of drugs, let me tell you something. I was doing this study this morning because of something that happened last night when I got back. Galatians. A little sermonette here, people. And I hope to hell you people, everybody listens. especially some that it is aimed at. Galatians 5. Blah, 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 blah. How many D's are in Bonanza? 59. Huh? Blonde joke. Dum dee dum dee dum dee dum dee dum dum. Dum dee dum dee dum dee dum dee dum 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 dum. Okay. Verse 13, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty, only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. Be of service. The Basin and the Towel, sung by Michael Card, who I heard in Kansas City do that song. And that's when I heard Phil Kagi, another time, another place story. I had already told it. But yeah, he sang that song there. You know, what is community all about? People want. I want a community. I want to be in community. I want to start a community. I want to be part of a community. Community is not where you come in and sit on your ass, whether it be fat or not, or lazy or not. Get off your lazy ass. Get off your fat ass. A community is not where you come in and sit down, park your butt, and wait for everybody to, wait on you hand and foot. Expect everybody to wait on you hand and foot. One of the gals, it's the lady that sold her house by eliminating she had to have it empty. Sold and gave away everything she could, started a fire in her backyard and burned everything. Yeah. Serious. And did it by herself. I imagine that, Jury and I could get down there and help her. Well, hell, that happened. September. Long time ago. All right, so community is about a basin and a towel. Peter's like, hey, you're not going to wash my feet. Well, then, sucks for you. If you don't want me to wash your feet, you're not going to be in my kingdom. Oh, wash my whole body. People go from one extreme to the other, don't they? We're just dopey people. Old Sawdust Trail preacher, revival preacher, Billy Sunday. He had a saying. It said, God must have a sense of humor. He made the donkey. He made the monkey. And some of you people. Charles Spurgeon, one of my by far my favorite preacher, Prince of Pulpit Orators, had a sense of humor. And one old Scottish lady, young man, you have far too much humor in the pulpit, and it's not godly. Well, ma'am, if you knew how much I kept in, you'd be commending me instead of chewing on me. Yeah. Anyway, serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even this: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, where does that fit in with shit hits a fan? I'm going to go kill him and take his stuff. Not. And just your neighbor. The motto of the foundational mantra of the Well-Fed Neighbor Alliance that I was, co-founder of in Springfield is, and this is spread. I ran into, a friend of mine who moved here. I helped get here from Connecticut. Okay, he put everything in a cargo container and shipped it out. Drove out, camped on our land for a few days. I said, I need a soft landing place, man. We need soft landing places all over this region. everybody that's here needs to become a soft landing place. No question. When you get here, you need to be a soft landing place for your family, for your friends that are going to be coming after you. So, but he's down there in Arkansas. I've never been down to visit him even, and I hate to say that, just haven't been able to get down there. And he says, this guy moved in here, and he's pretty well to do, and he said, I believe that the best way to face hard times is to help other people. And he said he's giving away trees, fruit trees, and helping people, and that's the idea got through to him, whether from us or he thought of it on his own. But he almost said word for word, the best defense in hard times is a well-fed neighbor, because he said, the best thing I can do to help myself is to help people around me. Furfowl, Argentina. If you want to protect your family, protect as large an area around you as possible. Make as large an area around you safe as possible. My area is 100 miles, 100-mile radius. That's 31,400 square miles. And actually it's 120 times 120 because it's 120 miles, the riverbed basin, the borders. All right, so anyway, if you bite and devour one another, if you have a spirit that is somebody does something that you don't like, and you just you get antagonistic and you just start chewing on them, that ain't godly. It ain't of the Holy Spirit. If you're going to eat each other up, take heed that you don't eat each other up. Okay, kind of. If you bite and devour one another, take heed that you not be consumed of one another. Basically said that if you're going to chew on each other, don't be surprised if you get eaten. This I say, then walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. The flesh lusteth against the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. But if you be led of the Spirit, you're not under the law. Romans 5:2. And it says, and not Romans 5:2. That's another one. But there's a song. It's do this and live. The law commands, but gives me neither feet nor hands. A better way His grace doth bring. It bids me fly and gives me wings. I can't remember the tune exactly, and I don't sing well, sorry to torture you. But, point being is, the law says do this, but there's no power there whatsoever. And this is the really major problem I have with the whole, not the only one, but one of the major problems I have with the people who are getting to Hebrew roots. You're getting into the roots of Judaism, which, Paul combated and overcame and broke the back of, and that's why we have a New Testament, Because what they go is they start off there, and they start off with, Paul's a bad guy because blah, 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 because he didn't like Jews, and blah, 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 and the next thing you know, they've thrown out the New Testament, and the next thing you know, they've thrown out their whole religion, they're shipwrecked. And you could write a book on the hundreds and hundreds of people that's happened to in this country alone. So, but the problem I have with it is legalism. We every Sabbath we met with friends that were sacred neighbors, and eventually, when I started talking about circumcising all the guys, and I was like, okay, I think we've had about enough of this, Or talking about, killing lambs on Passover, and, they're coming back under the law. So, and one of them, I'm going to tell a couple, 3 quick stories here, because it has to do with this exact thing. If you're led of the Spirit, you're not under the law. One is, we can't turn that light switch on because that's like kindling a fire. Oh, really? Jewish family in New York, they would turn the stove on at night, Friday night, and leave it on so they could cook, because they didn't turn the electric stove on because that was like starting a fire, and that's legalism. What's going to happen if you do that? They don't hardly believe in God. We're going to go to hell if we turn the light switch on. So anyway, their house burned down, killed all 5 kids. So, of course, people felt sorry for them. They're taking a fund to, let's bury them kids in Israel. Sheesh, whatever. But one of the guys, I said, he's made a comment about salvation, and I was like, well, how do you believe we get saved? Same way he did in the Old Testament, by keeping the law. I'm like, okay, that kind of tells me where that guy's coming from. How can you be saved if you don't believe in salvation by grace? I mean, some serious flaws there. And one of them said, I have a really good relationship with the Father, Yahweh, but I don't have a good relationship with his Son. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me. So you don't know the Son, but you think you know the Father. Tell me how that works out for you on Judgment Day. Not. I'm thinking. Anyway. And another one coming up here is drunkenness. One of the third guys is an alcoholic. I mean, a hardcore drunkard alcoholic. Good worker, but he's a drunkard. Flat out drunkard, no question. And belligerent drunkard, fighting drunkard. Every night he gets drunk and he's looking for somebody to fight with. So, one of them beat his face in one time. So, go figure. So that's a lot of the fruit of the sacred name Torah-toting Hebrew roots bunch is not good fruit. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody by any means. Just like in Christianity, not all good fruit by any means. So, but that's my experience of people I know personally. Not good at all. Can I trust any of them? No, not on your life. Can I trust a bunch of Mormons? Oh yeah, I can trust them to do me right, to not screw me, to pay me if I do the work right. If I work for them, to pay me well. Can't trust. I don't know any Christians. Can't even trust family for that. That's another. Anyway, go on. Moving right along here. So. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revellings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah. Okay? So, and then you go, what should we be? If you want to live in a community, those things that I just read are not the way to have a nice, happy community. So if you want to come here, and I'm warning somebody that's going to listen to this, that ain't the way to live. Because in the Out of the Ashes series, General Ben Raines, I'll mention off and on, sir, this is a one mistake society and you just made yours. You're on the road or you're executed. I don't know how that's going to work out. I have believed and seen divine execution of judgment, I believe. My daughter and son-in-law, two small daughters, when we were in Kansas, and they had a really good friend. And this really good friend always dressed up like a clown, and little kids loved him. And I saw some things. He's out there pushing my granddaughters on the swings in the swing set. He's not standing behind them pushing them. He's standing in front of them, and their little dresses are coming up. And I told Jeff and Anna, I said, look, the guy's a pedophile. Do not let him alone with your kids. And they did. And I told him, I said, look, somebody brings that filth down here. We weren't even here yet. This was in Kansas. But we were in the process of coming down here and visiting and stuff. I said, God will judge him. The guy had never been married. He was a fat-faced, chubby, cherubic-faced little, should have been a really healthy guy. 6 months after I made that statement, he died of a painful, agonizing death of cancer. So I don't believe that was a coincidence. So there will be divine execution of justice. There will also be, we'll see. There will be trash taken out, to put it that way. Anyway, so the fruit of the Spirit is, this is where we need to be in community: love, joy, peace. How peaceful are you? Are you bringing a warrior spirit here? I don't suggest that. There'll be enough war going on in this country and around the world. Don't bring it here. Okay? Self-defense is one thing, but to be always on the prod and always wanting to fight, whether it's in your, verbally, physically, whatever, not cool. Long-suffering, what is long-suffering? Patience. Somebody makes a mistake, you think they made a mistake, be patient, I let people have 2 or 3 mistakes, and that's going to change. My fuse gets shorter. When I say something and somebody ignores me and goes off or, does what I said, don't do that. And then they do it again, and I say they have to repeat myself a second time. Don't expect me to be nice the third time. I'm going to go off. Just the way I am. I've had enough time under this whole thing with this whole, deal, and I don't need to be. I'm not called to be nice. One of the things I said to Jen Raines, you're a hard man, Mr. General Raines. Hard times, sister. Hard times. Wise up. So, just the way it is, the way it's going to be. Fish or cut bait, shit or get off the pot, if you don't want to do it, somebody else will. If there's work to be done, we need to get it done. And we don't need time for all this, other fightings and backstabbings and everything. Gentleness. How gentle are you? Gentleness. Be meek. Lowly. Be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Goodness, faith, meekness. Why does it say gentleness and meekness? 2 different words. Temperance. Against such there is no law, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and the lusts. Dead. What does crucified mean? Dead. 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 He's dead, Jim. The old man is dead, Jim. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vain glory, provoking one another, envying one another. Envy, one of the 7 deadly sins, isn't it not? Yeah. So, I know what one of the things I want to touch on that is you go to, that was KGB Light, so you can actually read it. Murder, idolatry. Every one of these would be instructive, but I wanted to touch on Strong's Lat. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, that's good enough. The Greek there, pharmakeia. Pharmakeia. That sound familiar? Witchcraft? Phonetically, it has a pronunciation, therefore, in case you don't know how to pronounce the transliteration, pharmakeia. Pharmakeia. Their definition. This is the definition of pharmakeia. In the Greek, the use or administering of drugs. We're not talking about dancing around and, and it might go back to hearkening of mixing eye of newt and frog's tongues and toad skin and, deer antler and whatever into a potion and administering that as a drug. I don't know. It would be interesting to get into Liddell Scott, which is classical Greek. And I'll see if I can do that. You can do it online. Phenomenal. Where New Testament Greek is Koine Greek, okay? It's like you have Latin and you have Pig Latin. New Testament Greek is simple Greek. It's not heavy. It's not classical. Like I said, when you're dealing with Latin, and I can easily read Caesar's invasion of Britain because he's a general. He wasn't a scholar. you know, simple Latin, good Latin, you know, omnia Gallia est tres partes. All Gaul is divided into 3 parts. Anybody, you know, with a little bit, with a modicum amount of thought, can read that kind of Latin. If you just go, okay, well, that word looks like, you know, mortician, anything with mort is dead. Mortgage, mortgage, dead. You know, death pledge. They're betting that you'll die before you pay them off. And most of the times that happens, okay? So you can look at base root words and kind of translate it. Well, point being is, you have the vulgar Latin, the Vulgate, the Latin translation of the Bible, the Vulgate, vulgar. It was translated into the vulgar tongue, common tongue. Okay, you have the Septuagint, you know, translated into the language of the day. Incidentally, for all the Hebrew roots people out there, why did they have to translate the Old Testament into Greek? Because the Jews didn't freaking know Hebrew. That's why. Most of them were Hellenized. They spoke Greek, and they had to translate the Bible into their language. Which brings you to another little thing about Ruach Kodesh, Moshe, Aharon, and you know, Yahweh and Yeshua, and all the list of what you could play 10 words that they pronounce in Hebrew and to make them sound more educated, more intelligent than you. If you want to talk in Hebrew, why don't you just fracking talk in Hebrew? Make it simple. Learn the language and talk in it. Don't just pretend like you're smarter than somebody else, because you're not. You know, a lot of people of that mindset, I'm trying to be real careful what I'm saying here, are your lower education, working class. A lot of them are. Some of them are brilliant. Some of them know what they're doing, and some of the teachers are very well versed, but they're very deceptive, horribly deceptive. Go into that. But a lot of them are just like they're not very intelligent. They can easily be swayed and need to be sold a bill of goods. So I could mention a whole bunch of names. I made a whole lot of names right there. But I was reading when my daughter was doing the geocentricity paper for her graduation thesis, and my son Ian was writing a book on the sacred name issue, and he called it The Defense of the New Testament. And it was really fascinating. I didn't bring this up the other day. I avoided it, but I'm going to just mention it now. I was helping both of them with research, and it blew me away the number of times I would be doing research for Susie and run across the same Kabbalistic, Talmudic, satanic, occultic sources that I had just read doing research for Ian. And then I'd be doing research for Ian's book on sacred names and whatnot, Hebrew Roots Movement. And I would be like, whoa, that's the same Trimus Hermagistris. Whatever the guy, magician guy, same source. That's the same source, the same work, the same era, the same thing, Kabbalah quoted, that I just read yesterday when I was researching for Susie and the invention of the globe and sun worship, solar system. Why do we call it a solar system? What the hell? The sun is not the center of the solar system. There is no solar system in that sense. It's an earth system. The universe, what does universe mean? One? Do you think, or do you agree that una means one? One? Uniroyal, unibody, uni whatever, union, one. Okay? Nobody can dispute that. What does the rest of the word mean? Verse. What's a verse? Verse in the Bible. Word. But it can also mean turning. When a midwife does a version, that means that she gets the mom in a certain position, the baby's upside down, and she does a version. She turns. Version is turning. What does the word universe mean? One turning. Yeah. I didn't finish that out the other day, but what I saw when I was doing the paper, helping Susie, and the instant I said, I believe that the earth is the center and not spinning, the Lord, it's like I had it in my mind. Here's a ping pong ball. Here's a racquetball. Here's a tennis ball. Here's a baseball. Here's a softball. Here's a soccer ball. Here's a basketball. You think where I'm going with this? Here's a beach ball. Here's a really, really big ball. And they all turn. Did the basketball, did the beach ball go any faster? It's one turning. And that it was a pictorial in my mind, and I was like, okay, cool, because I had already, I believe it. The Bible says the earth isn't turning or moving. Fine, that settles it. That which they say is heresy, that's what I believe. Paul before King Agrippa. So anyway, all right. So, be that as it may. And when we're dealing with all these things, it's just not a legalistic thing I'm trying to, talk about, but you can be forgiven for anything, and drunkenness or whatever, even homosexuality, heresy, sedition, witchcraft, all of them, But when you have a repeated, constant, non-repentant use of or acting out of any of these, then you have a serious problem. Okay, so you have to take some medications, but have the mindset that let's get off of them, get away from them. I actually feel better. Went on the trip and I was like, I'm not taking the medications. I don't feel that bad, so heck with it. Listen to your body, deal with it. So, pause. Oh yeah, right. Just to finish out the thing on pharmakeia, it's one thing I wanted to touch on. So, the word in Greek means the use or administering of drugs, poisoning, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by it. Metaphorically, theoretically, symbolically, the deceptions and seductions of idolatry. So, what is idolatry? The worship or serving of any other God other than Yahweh. Right? I am Yahweh thy Elohim, thou shalt have no other Elohims before me. So what is a false god? Well, it could be football, fishing, hunting deer, sewing, watching movies on TV. It could be anything that obscures or comes between you and a personal, worshipful, serviceable relationship with Father in heaven is idolatry. So, name your poison, What does occult mean? Occult is a hiding. It's anything that comes between you and the Father. A sincere, genuine relationship with deity. So, medication from G5332, medication. That is, by extension, magic, literal of or figurative, sorcery, witchcraft. And then you can just, obviously I think everybody's familiar with that. Click on the root word, pharmakous, one who prepares or uses magical remedies to sorcerer. Okay, or origin from pharmakon, a drug. So you have three words. The word for drug, pharmacon. The word for the person that does the drugging, the pharmacus, and then the pharmakia. So, and there's more down here. Sorry about that. From pharmacon, a drug, spell-giving potion, druggist, poisoner, by extension, a magician, sorcerer. So magic, sorcery, pharmakia, all go hand in hand. And I'm just saying, this is not me. I'm just pointing out, like this friend of mine, and I tell other people. I said, man, you call this guy brother. I used to call him, used to be brother. And then for a while I would just say former brother, Thomas, because he's not my brother. And I just realized that, I really did. It was a Jezebel issue. Total, absolute. In fact, I saw it coming before it happened. When he threw me out of Bill's cabin, a cabin he did not own, I had already come to perceive that Jezebel always takes control of property that does not belong to her. And he did that. He locked me out of the cabin with my food, only food I had in the cabin. No utensils. For months I showered and did dishes and laundry outside in a 5-gallon bucket out of the hose, the well. Ice cold water going into November while he leered at me. So, yeah, former brother Thomas. Unrepentant, totally unrepentant. And I, he hugs me to this day, and I'm like, fine, forgive him, absolutely. I mean, I'm not bitter about it. I just said, I can forgive you. That doesn't mean that I have to have warm, fuzzy feelings about the guy. And were I called up to some wow, before the throne and say, hey, this guy says that he's, your brother Jerry. I don't know him. Do you know him? I'm like, and I hate to say it, but I'm not going to lie. I don't know him. Total stranger to me. Thought we were best of friends for once upon a time, but did the sheep become a goat? Or was the goat always a goat? Does wheat become tares? It's not how the parable says. Let them grow together. Don't burn it. Don't dig it up. Don't try to kill it. Let it grow side by side. My angels will deal with it. So that's where it's at. Do I have to have warm, fuzzy feelings for the goat? Do I have to have warm, fuzzy feelings for the tare? I don't think so. I see what's coming. I know what's going to happen. It saddens me. Bill was preaching at me one night. And as he's preaching, I thought of two people very, very, I'll say very, very, very close to me. And I'm not going to name names And as I thought of them, I prayed that they wouldn't go to hell. Please save their soul. And those words went through my head, and he says, I want to tell you something. He says, if this person and this person go to hell, it's not your fault. I want you to know, it's not your fault. You tried to lead him. You did what you could for him. You told him, taught him, from one of them from birth. So, anyway, such is life. It's hard, sad. Are you mad at me? No, I'm not mad at you. I'm just saddened, just like God is. I'm very sad. I'm very disappointed. Mad? No, that's not the right word. Not angry. Not angry at the drunkard. I'm not angry at the murderer. Not mad, not angry, just sad. I hate to see it. I hate to see what's coming down the pike at them. And it's written right there in Scripture. Look it up. Do a study on how many times it says in the Bible that, drunkards shall not enter the kingdom of God. A number of them. I believe, in related context, over 100 times. So, be not drunk with wine wherein is excess, but be filled with the Holy Spirit. And if we are filled with the Holy Spirit, you'll have the love, and joy and peace and long-suffering and gentleness and goodness and faith and meekness and temperance. Against such there is no law. There is no law, against that. It thrilled me one time, to think about, not whenever I do, my daughter, from the time she was like 15, been driving. She's been driving for 15 years now. Never been stopped. Never had an accident. Against such there is no law. You can't write a law against that. And her brother was driving one time, got pulled over. And I told him, I said, "Get that haircut, man. You're gonna get pulled over." And he says, "Well, it's a religious thing." One of the cops comes around to her side and goes, "Are you serious that this is a religious objection to having a license?" She goes, "Oh, yes, sir." And she was sincere, absolutely sincere, utterly sincere, and he believed her, and they let him go. So, pretty cool. But 15 years driving with no license. I finally got one, but But there is no law against that kind of conduct. Never had road rage, never distracted, never getting in an argument in the car and going off the road, never going too fast because I'm mad at somebody or whatever, No, pretty awesome. So that's a good example of against such there is no law. And I'll just, I think, end with from St. Francis, saying, at all times, preach the gospel. Be the gospel. Kit Farrow Cattle Company says, don't just go to church. Be the church. Be a believer. Be a Christian. Be real. You are the only Bible most of those people are ever going to read, which is what St. Francis said to finish that statement. At all times, preach the gospel. And if necessary, use words. Your life is a testimony. So, and coming back around to Susie and Ian, my son, as I was working for Bountiful Enterprises, Tom Zitting, and quite often I would be sitting outside because I didn't like to be in, number one, I'm from Colorado, and it's hot in there. Let me go sit outside. I don't care if it was 10 degrees outside. I'd go sit outside and eat, or someplace other than in a cooped up room, claustrophobic too, a little bit. But, and I like to think, don't hear about people blathering about inane inanities, stupidities. But anyway, you know how guys are. But anyway, sometimes I'd go up in the office and talk to Tom, and but several times he made the statement. He goes, Jerry, my whole life I thought that the only good people in the world was our people, Mormons. And he says, and then I met your family, and Susie and Ian are just so awesome, blah blah blah. So Ian's best friend and partner is one of the Mormon kids there, Tommy. So. And one time somebody said to Tommy, they said, Ian's been a really good friend to you. And Tommy goes, no, he isn't. He's my best friend. So that's quite a testimony, So anyway, I think that's enough. 3 points in a poem. Yeah, hang on. And obviously, I'm not playing this. I don't think it plays. I don't even know yet. Find out. But in upstairs room, the parable is just about to come alive. And while they bicker about who's best, with a painful glance, he'll silently rise. Must show them how, through the will of the water, tenderness of the towel. All right. 3 points in a poem. Yeah. Well, maybe get better as time goes on. Beautiful song. Listen to it. This speaks volumes about where we need to be, where we will be. Whether you listening to this or not is up to you. But if you're going to come into community, there needs to be humility. I remember the King Arthur movie, I don't know which one, but Guinevere says to Lancelot, it might have been, there's one with Richard Gere, might have been that one. Says he, you don't have a lot of humility. Humility, milady? What's that? But, we need humility. And I remember a sermon one time, the preacher says, if you ever find the perfect community, don't join it, because you're going to ruin it. If you ever find the perfect church, don't join it, because you'll destroy it. You'll ruin it. Point being is nobody's perfect, so just deal with it. Bill has a great thing. He says, I don't expect anything of someone that they can't deliver. I don't expect anything out of them that I would, I don't demand anything out of anybody, and that way I won't be disappointed. And it's very realistic in that respect. And I've always said very, very kind of similar to that. I said everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses, their good points and their bad points, and I just I just accept people for what they are. I try to see them improve, obviously. So the other day I was talking to my friend John, and we're talking about a mutual acquaintance, and I said, that guy showed up. I told Bill, I said, there's ants and there's grasshoppers, and some people are going to be grasshoppers. And if they're of that mindset, if that's what they are, if they are a grasshopper, they are never going to become an ant, so don't expect them to. And if you're not familiar with that idea, just watch the kid movie, for crying out loud. Read about it, read the parable. I highly recommend, if you are a civilian, never been military, or I don't care if you've been military, if you want to know a lot of hardcore, brutal, in-your-face, life and death reality of what we're going to be facing, read another book, not just Civil War II. Read a book, a fiction book. I granted you. The Last Centurion by John Ringo. Now, the guy's military. And it is, I warned a friend, Nova, General Nova, one time. I said, there's a lot of French in it. She goes, oh, that's okay. Thanks to you, I'm fluent in French. Not that we talk. We don't ever hardly talk. We talk maybe 3 times on the phone, but, she's a very, very extremely wise woman. And we've both written on she's like by far the top poster on Preparing But Not Afraid, which is a good place. I was going to say this again also. Good place that's where the most of my writings are archived. So if you're interested in reading what I've actually written, not just video, go there and pull up a topic, and we've covered it. Nova is by far the top poster, but she's pithy. In fact, she mostly just posts YouTubes. But anyway, she's in comments over the years. She's made so many awesome comments that I actually gathered them all together. I need to update it here. Entitled it the Sayings of Chairwoman Nova, because like sayings of Chairman Mao Zedong. Just awesomely wise, prepper-oriented, Christian-based, intelligent, biblically based sayings that I can't name anybody else that has, that. She's the only one I've ever done that for. Let's put it that way. Long and the short of it. Nobody else has been that quotable ever. So, Hop, H-O-P. And so, so anyway, the subject of ants and grasshoppers. Do tares? Does wheat become tares? Do goats become sheep? No. Do sheep become goats? Does wheat become tares? No. So now there's people can be non-believers and then they're converted. There's miraculous, all things in Christ. New creation. Turn and turn about. Turning. An animate version. Animate version. That means a turning of the mind. Repentance is a turning. Metanoia. Meta, change, like metaphysics. Meta, change. Noia, mind. Change of mind, change of direction. You're going in this way, you're headed for hell. You turned around and you're going that direction, and you don't then turn around and look back longingly, like I said. Lot's wife did. What's Lot's wife's name? Oh, I don't know either. So back to the ancient grasshoppers. Grasshopper. John Ringo. He deals with that in a setting of end of the world scenario of a worldwide plague, a virus, a flu, and the differences between how different communities dealt with it. They were issued vaccines. The government came up with the vaccine and antidote and sent them out. Now, of course, bullshit on that, but they sent them out and everybody got enough for their community, or they got a certain amount. So liberal community, everybody's the same, everybody gets fed, everybody has equal blah 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 blah, and they practically everybody died. Told the story before, I'm going to tell it again. I don't care if you don't like it, too bad. Southern community, Georgia, I believe, Alabama maybe. The pastor's gone. Either the youth pastor and him both disappeared. One of them died or was not there when it happened. The other one ran off. Probably let's say the pastor, because he's the typical one that would do this. He ran off and left his flock, or he was the one. Whatever, it doesn't make any difference. But the pastor's daughter, 19-year-old girl, ran the whole county, and did so successfully. And one of the things that she did was she did not feed the frickin' grasshoppers. If there wasn't enough food, sorry. Feed the ants. In other words, the people that are working, the people that are saving people, the people that are growing the food, the people that are, putting up defense, doing whatever, the hard work, the manual labor. If there was X number of cots and they needed to sleep, out. Guy needs to sleep. Food, feed the ants, grasshoppers. If there's any left over, then you feed the grasshoppers. Okay, so there you go, ants and grasshoppers. Lesson. So Bill and I, as we have our thing of there's don't expect more out of people. Don't expect more than they can. You can see that they are capable of delivering. Then you won't be disappointed. So very, very good attitude. So, but I was laughing because we were talking about that, and my friend John goes like, "He's not an ant. He's not a grasshopper. He's a tick." Or he says, "I believe some people are ticks." That's how he put it. I just laughed. I said, "Bloodsuckers." He goes, "You got my point." He's a blood-sucking tick. All right, so read this. Listen to the song, but I'm just going to read the lyrics. And the call is to community. In an upstairs room, a parable is just about to come alive, and while they bicker about who's best, with a painful glance, he'll silently rise. Their Savior must show them how, through the will of the water and the tenderness of the towel. And the call is to community, the impoverished power that sets the soul free. In humility, to take the vow that day after day, we must take up the basin and the towel. This isn't once a year thing, you know. And I done seen that, and, you know, you can't treat somebody like shit 364 days a year and then try to be the first one in line to wash their feet on Passover. It don't work, sir, son, brother. It don't work. You know, it's not right. Reality is you are what you live on a daily basis, what you are on a daily basis, what you speak on a daily basis. That's what you are. That is your destiny, you know. So, in any ordinary place on any ordinary day, the parable can live again when one will kneel and one will yield. Our Saviour Servant must show us how through the will of the water and the tenderness of the towel. The space between ourselves sometimes is more than the distance between the stars. By the fragile bridge of the Saviour's bow, we take up the basin and the towel. You know, Marco Card is has so many just beautiful analogies, just, you know, astronomy here. The space between ourselves sometimes is more than the distance between the stars. Wow. And yet, by humility, we can bridge that distance. So, and we take up the basin and the towel. So, there you go. 3 points in a poem. All right. This is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant. And my voice is going.